We're going to need some tea for this one today, honey, because it's a doozy. How many times have you cried today, mama? Do you find yourself in the doing laundry, doing dishes, driving down the street and tears just streaming from your eyes and this ache, this emptiness in your heart? Your heart is living outside of your body and it seems like it's beating differently now. I get it. Today, we're talking about empty nest syndrome and menopause. Why didn't they tell us? Why didn't they tell us the truth about it? Okay, so here's the thing. I see you. I even spoke to a sis a couple of days ago, and I asked her, what is the one thing in your life right now that you want to release? Like I often ask the people. And she said, I want to release feeling sad. I said, what's causing you the sadness? She said, I'm happy that my daughter is going to college. And as a matter of fact, she's going to school right here in the city. But she's staying in the dorm and I don't want her to leave. I'm like, well, girl, she's up the street. She said, but I want her to stay with me. And I get it. Your babies have been with you since forever. You were born with half of them with your eggs. We're born with all the eggs we're going to produce in a lifetime. And then conception, and from the time your baby was in your womb and growing to that first kick, to the first time that you heard the heartbeat, and then your baby came out and they've been with you ever since. This is truly the cutting of the umbilical cord. And I feel your sadness and I see your sadness. And you're not alone. So we're going to talk about it. Okay. So, in case you don't know who I am, welcome to happy Monday and a marvelous, magnificent Monday indeed. I am your host for the Midlife and Menopause Moment. I'm Dr. Michelle Clay, and that's Michelle like Obama, Clay like Cassius. I am a physician and a certified holistic health counselor and clinical nutritionist. And what I do is I help women, the fabulous women over 40, just like you, maneuver midlife transitions like this one we're talking about today, and menopause symptoms naturally through premium loose leaf herbal teas. Cheers. Retreat experiences and transformational wellness programs. So I'm going to take you through the 9-step framework to help you get through this major midlife transition. Okay, are you ready? All right, let's go. Now I had to have some tea for this, and I hope that you brewed some as well because, honey, you're gonna have to breathe, sip, and soothe through this one right here. Okay. Okay, that's some good. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Okay, so here's the deal, pickle. Empty nest syndrome, as you know, is about the baby that has flown from the nest, honey. The baby that is spreading their wings and finally flapping their wings and soaring on their own wind. Okay? And it may be the first one that's leaving the nest, the coop, the home. It may be the last one, but the feelings are still the same. And the thing is, the studies show, and psychologists report that these are some of the things that happen with the empty nest syndrome. It's really grief. There can be disturbance of sleep, anxiety, even depression, muscle tension, muscle tightness. Of course, there's crying. There may be changes in the digestion. Does that sound familiar? Baby, those are all symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. Isn't that something? Let me tell you something. Being a woman is not for the faint of heart, honey. These men think they all whatever with all their muscles and brawn, but baby, it's nothing compared to being a woman. The things that we hold and shoulder. Amen and amen. Let's take a sip today. But really, empty nest syndrome, they sometimes call it empty nest grief. And grief is not just about a feeling and a cycle that you experience when someone transitions, or back, as a physician, you can't say pass or transition. You have to call it what it is so that people get it. People die. Okay? Grief is not just that. Grief is about death, ending of something. And the ending is your baby being with you all the time, every day. The final cut of that cord. And so, um, the studies also show that while these symptoms are some one and the same as the 37 symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, it also can make those symptoms worse. Why is that, Dr. Michelle? This is team too much. Indeed, it is. And the reason why is because it's a stress. The cortisol rises, and cortisol competes for estrogen in the binding of the receptors, okay? So the things like the hot flashes, the sleep disturbances, the muscle aches, the joint pain, the heart palpitations, the mood swings, the brain fog, the anxiety, all worsens. But here's the thing. Oh, and the studies show that this whole empty nest syndrome or empty nest grief can actually last for 18 months. You're like, ooh, child, that's a long time. Indeed, it is, but it isn't. So let's get into what we're going to do about it, all right? So, the 9-step framework to get through easier the empty nest grief, that empty nest syndrome, is the acronym empty nest. Yes, sis, real talk. Listen, the sisters reporting to me, they crying, and it's okay if you cry by yourself, but know that you can also cry with other people. That's part of the 9-step framework. Let's get into it. So first, an empty nest is E, and exercise. The thing is, when you exercise, you're releasing endorphins, you're increasing that oxytocin, and it's all a setup for increasing the dopamine, the feel good. All right. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to go waste money on a gym membership. It could be as simple as taking a lap around the block, okay, with a simple walk. Or I've talked about pause and plank. Now I get more into the pause and plank situation in the Women's Wellness Reset, okay? Oh, look at that beautiful butterfly. Reminds me of the promise and the beauty. I'm sorry, I get distracted. I'm in my meditation room, which is a sunroom, and I got 2 walls of windows. Okay, now that's E. And M for the emptiness framework to get through this emptiness grief is going to be mature woman nutrition or menopause nutrition. And what does that look like, Dr. Michelle? I'm glad you asked. The nutrition, the mature woman or menopause nutrition looks like phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens such as berries, particularly the dark berries. Now, strawberries and raspberries are very good, but of course, blueberries and blackberries. Okay. Then next in our emptiness framework is P for pouring. Number one, you have to be mindful of what it is that you're pouring, and in your effort to get through this emptiness grief, this emptiness transition, this emptiness syndrome, then I don't want you to always your go-to be pouring a glass of wine. Because the glass of wine and lower alcohol content drinks, what do? Honey, they actually worsen menopause symptoms such as the hot flashes and the night sweats. So when you pour, be mindful of pouring more water. Be mindful of your hydration. I mean, you are shedding tears. And the other thing about pouring is allow those tears to fall. Because when you cry, that's holy water, baby. That's holy water. And with that holy water, with your sadness and your stress, some of the cortisol, the stress hormone, is actually being released in your tears. So, mama, cry. It's okay. Release, 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 release. Okay. And then T in our empty nest framework is T, the actual TEA. Y'all know I'm going to talk about it. I am reality after all. So, the thing about drinking a cup of tea, particularly for reality, is that it's not just about the tea. It's a relax and escape for wellness in the cup. There's plant technology. So yeah, you can go to some basic tea like I'm not gonna say the name, but something that starts with the L, that old school sweet tea that we grew up on, or sometimes they had it hot that starts with the L. You know what I'm talking about. That has the carnelia plant. But let's go to plant technology of other herbs that can be helpful during this very anxious, stressful, and sad time. And one of my real go tos is ashwagandha. Though I have not birthed a child out of my vagina, I have held children close to my heart and care for them. So when they were going through that transition, it was a transition for me too. So proud of them, but also afraid for them, making sure that you told them all the things that they needed to know to keep them safe. Did you do enough? Did you tell them, give them the right lessons? You know what I'm saying? Let's take a sip. But the plant technology in the tea that I absolutely love are some herbs like ashwagandha, like in the release your royalty. So, in experiencing grief very close to me, and y'all know that my father passed almost a year this month, then my go to honor my grief, to process my grief, to get through my grief so it didn't land me in a fetal position for days on end, was this blend right here. Because of that ashwagandha. The ashwagandha is an adaptogen, honey. It helps you get through those stressful moments, all right? And then next, our why in the emptiness framework is saying yes. Yes to you. Yes to your needs. Yes to your desires. Yes to some new hobbies. This is the time when a lot of people who have been married for 20 plus years and that baby or those babies leave the nest, then you turn around, look at your spouse like, who are you? Harpo, who this woman? Harpo, who this man? Because everything has been going into your children or into your child, and you've lost connection with yourself and in that intimate connection. And so now that all your time and energy is not going into your baby or your babies, now we have to shift that energy into you. And this is the time when a lot of women seek me out because they're like, Dr. Michelle, what do I do with all this time? I have poured and sacrificed everything into others. And this is a hard transition for me. But now it's time for me to discover what I like, to discover who I am as the woman. And this 40 plus and phenomenal, 40 plus and fabulous, or like me, 50 plus and phenomenal season. What do I like? What do I want? What am I interested in? What do I want to discover? So that's the why. And next in our empty nest framework is the N for nervous system reset. Now, I've talked a lot about, y'all know I'm all about that reset, honey, that midlife reset. Amen and amen. Let's take a sip. But in resetting the nervous system, we're resetting to minimize the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, and to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that can happen when you're walking with that movement, okay? That can happen when you're breathing. Honey, when you feel those moments of grief want to overtake you and that wave capsize you, I want you to pause. I want you to allow the tears to fall. And I want you to inhale and exhale, release. And in that breathing, that intentional breathing, you're resetting your parasympathetic nervous system, okay? And the next in our empty nest framework is the E for embrace. I want you to embrace these moments. Embracing these moments is being mindful, okay? And also opening yourself up to be embraced with a hug. Get that dopamine hit. Get that hit that reminds you that you're not alone, okay? You're still loved. You're still open to giving love and most importantly to receiving love. And if no one is around at the moment, then just open your arms. Inhale, exhale, embrace yourself and give yourself a warm and tight hug. Not that little church lady pat, but a real one, okay? And then next in our, the eighth step in our empty nest framework is the S, which is support. Okay? Support professionally. If this time is especially tough for you, then get someone that is skilled, get someone that is professional to help you express your feelings, talk through your feelings. And I mean that professional help as in a therapist, a psychologist, or if it has triggered something else and you have a history of clinical depression or clinical anxiety disorder, a psychiatrist, okay? And then the ninth step in our empty nest framework is T, another T, but not this T. The last T is tender. Be tender with yourself and tender boundaries. Check on your baby, of course. But honey, don't blow their phone up. Don't blow their phone up. Now, see, when I was coming up and I left my mother's house, we didn't have cell phones. So she was going to have to wait until I called her or she got that moment when I was in my room by the phone. Okay. But I went to the XU, Xavier University of Louisiana, an historically Black college and university, HBCU. And so I wasn't in my room, honey. I was discovering myself. I was finding myself. So those tender boundaries, and maybe, mama, you still the mama, but you are mothering, you are parenting in a different capacity at this time. And so ask your baby. I know this is gonna cause some tension inside. So let's take a sip. Let's take a sip. So, mama, ask your baby, when's a good time to call? Or let them call. No, when's a good time to call? Let's establish our time that we're going to talk every week or every however many days, okay? And I know you got that 360 link on, which is good because these children, it seems like, and maybe you raise your baby differently, but it seems like these children don't have the same kind of street sense and spidey sense that we did. And so they're not always aware. So if you need to keep that 360 link on, keep it on by all means. But you are no longer a helicopter parent, all right? If they are out at somebody's house until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, like I know I was, okay? I know that I was. But I didn't have the cell phone, so my mother didn't know. Okay, all she knew was that my grades were good, and and that I was safe, and that she was able to talk to me when we said we were going to talk, or whenever I called, then she would answer, and that's all she really needed to know. Okay, But don't be blowing up their spot and say, why were you out until 2 o'clock in the morning? Because they were partying, and as they should. Their responsibility at this time is to discover what it means to be independent, discover what it means to grow into womanhood, to grow into manhood, and to form their own connections and relationships without you intervening, without you helicoptering, okay? Stay your hind parts at home, all right? And don't roll up on them unannounced either, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. So this concludes today's segment of the Midlife and Menopause Movement. I have definitely enjoyed you as always. So just as a quick recap on today's Midlife and Menopause Moment, which was the truth about empty nest syndrome and menopause. What they didn't tell us is the crying, the anxiety, the depression, the mood swings, the disturbance in sleep, the muscle tension, the joint aches, all of that is part of this empty nest syndrome or empty nest grief. This is a major midlife transition right here, baby child, indeed. And so those symptoms are very similar, if not the same, as symptoms, 37 symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. And that this kind of stress actually makes those symptoms worse. So the 9 step, the empty nest framework to get through that. E, for exercise, move to improve your mood. M, mature woman, menopause nutrition, okay? And that's going to be phytoestrogens like berries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, and there are blueberries in this one blend right here. P is for poor in your effort to mitigate the random crying in the car, the random crying while you're doing laundry, the random crying while you're washing dishes, is don't pour more wine. Okay, don't pour more wine, amen, that is going to increase those hot flashes. All right. But more pouring of water and making sure that you are properly hydrated. That's also going to improve your mood and your brain health. All right. And then next, tea, the real tea, honey, like reality, indeed and indeed. But the tea, the plant technology that is in tea, like ashwagandha, like St. John's wort, like rosemary. Why? Saying yes to you, yes to your desires, yes to discovering new hobbies, yes to now you don't have to put yourself on hold any longer, going out and exploring. And then in resetting your nervous system, let's minimize the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, and activate more of the parasympathetic nervous system through like breathing exercises, okay? And then E for embrace, and embracing the present moment, being mindful and embracing more hugs, being embraced. And if nobody's around, honey, embrace yourself, all right? And then S, support professionally if need be, supporting professionally in getting a therapist or making an appointment with your therapist that you have been putting on the back burner and on hold, a psychologist or psychiatrist if need be. And then finally, T, being tender, setting tender boundaries, not being a helicopter parent, honey, respecting them and coming into their own womanhood or adult manhood, okay, but still keeping some tabs, but setting those tender boundaries and where you can establish together your scheduled time of talking. Of course, you can call randomly if you had a thought or you just think about, I want to tell them that you love them and hear their voice, but don't get an attitude if they don't answer. Okay and okay. So that's it for today's segment. Thank you so much. Just want to give you that quick recap. And for even more, honey, on ways to reset and ways to maneuver this midlife transition with grace and ease naturally, then I invite you our next midlife reset. 5 steps to thriving wellness. Over 40 is a menopause and midlife masterclass is occurring Tuesday on August 26th. And to register for that and to secure your seat, then I want you to go to resetover40 All right. That's resetover40.com. All right. So that's it, everyone. To the replay viewers and the live viewers, I enjoyed you. So until next week, same time, same place, I want you to be well. I want you to do something well and wonderful for yourself, Mama. You got this. I love you. I do. And I'm sending you so much love and light to surround you from my heart to yours. Do something wonderful for yourself and have a positive rest of your day. It's Dr. Michelle signing off. Bye. Mwah!